All right, this is Chapter 5, Lesson 1, Algebraic Expressions. So a blank is a symbol that represents an unknown quantity. In that blank, you're going to write variable. So a variable is a symbol that represents an unknown quantity. A blank blank, such as n plus 2, is an expression that contains blank blank and at least one operation. In those blanks, you're going to write algebraic expression, so an algebraic expression, such as n plus 2, is an expression that contains variables, numbers, and at least one operation. In order to evaluate an algebraic expression, the branch of mathematics that involves expressions with variables is called blank. In that blank, you're going to write algebra. In algebra, the multiplication symbol is often omitted or left out. The numerical factor of a multiplication expression that contains a variable is called a coefficient. So the blank is the coefficient of 6d. So you can see 6 is the number, d is the variable, so 6 is my coefficient. So 6 is the coefficient of 6d. Expressions like y over 2 can be written as y divided by 2 or y times 1/2. All right, if we're writing expressions, to translate a verbal phrase into an algebraic expression, the first step is to define a variable. When you blank, 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 you choose a blank to represent an unknown quantity. In those blanks, you're going to write define a variable, and variable. So the first step is to define the variable. When you're defining a variable, you choose a variable to represent an unknown quantity. So, for example, if you're talking about dogs, maybe you're looking for the number of dogs that you might have total, you would use D as your variable to represent the number of dogs. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at a couple of examples. The first example I want to take a look at is this one over here. It says evaluate 2 times the quantity n plus 3 when n equals -4. So I replace n with -4 in my expression. So then I simplify using my parentheses. -4 plus 3 gives me -1, and then I multiply by 2, which gives me -2. Then I have Marissa wants to buy a DVD player that costs $150. She already saved $25 and plans to save an additional $10 each week. Write an expression that represents the total amount of money Marissa has saved after any number of weeks. So she's, in words, savings of $25. So I started with $25 and she's saving $10 each week in addition to that. So I start with 25 and then I'm adding on 10 times my number of weeks. I'm going to let W represent the number of weeks because that's what I'm being asked for. So 25 plus 10 times W, because it's 10, she earns $10 every week. Okay, so 25 plus 10W represents the total saved after any number of weeks. All right, there are a couple of try problems out below. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try them out, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. All right, now that you've had a chance to try out the try-it problems, let's go over the answers together. So the first try-it problem I have says, evaluate 2d squared plus 5d if d equals -5. So my problem is 2d squared plus 5D. And we said D equals negative 5. Okay? So when I'm doing this, I'm going to substitute in negative 5 for D. Okay, make sure you use parentheses because I have a negative number. So then I get 2 times negative 5 squared plus 5 times negative 5. Okay, now I need to use my order of operations. So I do negative 5 squared first. So negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. 25 times 2 gives me 50. 5 times negative 5 gives me a negative 25. 50 plus a negative 25 gives me a positive 25. For the second try problem, an MP3 player costs $70 and song downloads cost 85 cents each. Write an expression that represents the cost of the MP3 player and X number of downloaded songs. So I start with $70. That's how much the MP3 player costs. And then each song downloaded costs 85 cents. Okay. I need to figure out a variable that I can use to represent the number of downloaded songs.
Akeem Smith, report to the main office. Akeem Smith, report to the main office.
So I'm going to use the letter D. So D represents the number of downloaded songs. You don't have to use D. You can use any variable that you would like to use, okay? But you just have to know that that's what it represents. So I have 70 plus 0.85 D. Because it's 85 cents for every downloaded song, and my MP3 player costs $70. And that is the end of Chapter 5, Lesson 1.